In this video, we're going to introduce the feedback capabilities available in CoachSight. These are new capabilities, which will hopefully help you develop more effectively as an athlete. CoachSight allows athletes to set goals and make reflections on their experience in the program. Your coaches will see those reflections and goals, allowing them to help tailor the development program so that everyone has an opportunity to become the best athlete they can be. Since this is new, there will be a few bugs along the way, so if you have any problems, please let me know and I'll iron those out as soon as I can. Let's start with logging in. I imagine a lot of you will be using your mobile phones, so we'll start there. As an athlete in the program, you'd log in using the email and the password that you used during the selection trials. Some of you will have logged in with a parent's email address, and that's fine. But if you have brothers and sisters in the program, that could cause problems later on. Every athlete has their own unique login, so you might need to get in touch with me if that's going to be an issue. I can change your email address or other details if required. For parents, I'll be adding the ability for you to be able to log in separately and see your children's journals and feedback. I'm hoping to have that finished in the next couple of weeks. For now, I would encourage you to work with your children to make their entries and to help them frame their reflections and questions and goals. I'm going to use Amber's account. Once she's logged in, you'll see a number of tiles for the clubs she's registered to. Amber's got a couple here for Volleyball Australia and also for Maroondah Cobras, but let's click on the Volleyball Victoria one. You'll see the active seasons, so we're going to be interested in the Australian Junior and Youth Championships. Click on that and we'll see the development programs you're part of. In this case, Under 14 Boys Blue. Click on that to go to your team's homepage. Here, you'll be able to access your journal. If we click on the journal, we'll see our timeline. The most recent entries in our journal will appear at the top of the timeline. You'll notice at the top there are two buttons, a green one and a red one. The green button is for reflections. The red button is for recording goals. If we're looking at this on a web page, you'll see the word Athlete Reflections there. Athletes can add reflections at any time. You could be thinking about the practice that you've been doing at home, and it could be just after training. Literally any time you'd like to make a note about something to do with your training and development, you can use your journal here to keep that note, just like a diary. You can also add goals. If you've got a specific outcome that you're looking to develop for yourself, you can put them in here and your coaches will be able to see those. Entering them as goals tells your coach that there's something specific that you would like them to think about for your development. I'd recommend only setting 1 or 2 goals at a time. One of the key things about setting goals is making sure they're achievable. And if you set too many goals at once, they're just not going to be achievable. So pick 1, maybe 2 things that you want to improve in your game over the next few weeks. And then, once you've achieved some of those milestones, you can look at how you add new goals or how you modify the goals that you might have already had. So let's go ahead and modify a goal, because that's what I'd like you all to do for this week. Click on Add a Goal, and we'll see an editor. That editor can look a little bit funny on the mobile phone at the moment, so you might want to turn your phone sideways, or use a computer so you get a better, clearer view of the editor. Now, what we'd like you to do is to set a goal for yourself. Just one thing that you'd like to get out of training over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Let's say that's improve your movement along the net for blocking. Once we've got that, we can scroll down a little bit and you'll see a save button. Click that, and now we have a new goal that your coaches can see. The other thing I'd like you to do is to add a reflection. That's the green button. In this reflection, I'd like you to answer the question Steve had for you all last week. How do you like to receive feedback? For example, you might like it immediately. Other people might like to have feedback in private or after training. There's no right answer here, Everyone learns differently, and as coaches we want to understand what works best for you. Just remember, if we're in the middle of a game and there's something we need you to change immediately, that's quite different from the feedback we're talking about here. That's more tactical feedback, and it's something we might be asking you to do to close up a hole on court, or some other reason. Okay, so let's save that. Now we'll be able to see that there's a goal, and there's also a reflection that's been recorded on your timeline. You might also have noticed the purple athlete feedback form. That's one that I've created as a coach ahead of this training session this weekend. When we click on that, you'll see a section at the top that says Session Details and Evaluation Incomplete. That just means the coach hasn't finished putting all of their feedback into the form. It'll disappear once the coach publishes their feedback. This section can be expanded to show you the details about the session. It might be a training session or a practice match or a real match. That information will be common across all athletes. The coach might also make some notes about the game to provide some perspective. For example, the team might be tired after a hard game earlier in the day. Next, you'll see the athlete reflection down below, and here's where you can put your thoughts in. Question 1 is a preparation question. What are your focuses for this session? It might be a game or a training session. Are you hoping to build on the passing skills you learnt last week? Do you want to focus on being faster to move for the ball? This question will help you focus your attention to make sure you know what you want to get out of your training session or your match. Questions 2, 3 and 4 are reflection questions. At the end of the session, we'd like you to go back again and just say, what's one thing you did well that session? What would you like to focus on for the next session? What could your coach do better to help your development? So you may have experienced something during the training session that you would like to have more of, or something you would like to have less of. It could be that the coach has called on you to give an example of how to execute a skill, and you didn't really like that. You can let us know there, so that we don't make you uncomfortable again. Once we're ready, we can hit the Save button at the bottom of the form, and that will go into the system. Now, as a coach, I get access to that form, and I can see what you've put in. So in this case, if I go down to Amber, I can go in and say that in this training session, she played as a middle and as a setter. And then I've got the ability to make some comments on the various skills that she's exhibited through the match or the training session. How well did she communicate? How well did she exhibit her attack skills? What was her setting like? And so on. Now we won't have time to assess everything every time. A score of 0 just means we didn't pay attention to that aspect of your game this session. That doesn't mean that you're not good at that skill. We can also give you some comments on how well prepared you were. Were you on time? Were you ready to start right away? Did you approach training with purpose? We could also comment on how you performed during the training, or what we'd like you to focus on in the future. And you'll get to see those responses in your journal. Again, not all of these questions will get filled out for all athletes every time, but we'll try over the course of the training sessions for the season to give all athletes some feedback. As coaches, we can see into the athletes' reflections and goals, and this is important for us so that as we go into preparing our training sessions, we can get an idea of what you'd like to focus on and how we can tune the activities that we're planning to meet those goals. Now, we're not going to be able to accommodate everyone every time. We might have a specific thing that we want to focus on for that session, which doesn't allow us to take everybody's focus into account. But at least it's there for us to be able to look at and make a mental note of as we're working through our training sessions in the season. And then, once we've published that information, if I flick back to Amber's journal again, then we can go in and have a look at the feedback form that she sees. Now we can see that we have the observations that have been made by the coach and also the assessment of skills that have been made. Eventually we'll have the ability for you to go back and look at how you're performing over time, so you can see how you're improving with, for example, your service or your passing, and you'll be able to work with your coach on developing those skills further. So that's how we're planning to use CoachSight for the rest of the program. Especially during the event, we'll be looking to create a feedback form for each of our matches so that we're giving you all an idea of how you're performing and what you can do to get better as athletes. If you've got any questions, reach out to me via email or via the WhatsApp group that we've created. Just make sure that if you're sending me a message or an email, that you also send it to your parents. If you forget to do that, I'll make sure I've forwarded your questions so that they can see the conversation we're having. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. I'm looking forward to seeing you bright and early at training on Sunday.